St. Patrick's Day. We will get this chair out of.
All right, we can see you.
Okay.
We're both here. We're just trying not to have feedback.
Understood. Well, I guess Annie, you can take it away.
Okay, I have myself, Annie Cathy, Allison France, Andrew Chorney, Angela Priest, Jason, oops, sorry. I lost my spot. Jackson Lee, Jason Emery, John Hart, Kyla Lennertz, Melissa Fisher, Shiver Scott, Violet Plummer, Chris Weber, Leidy Wagner, MCAT, Nicole Rush, Susan Monahan, and it looks like in 206 we have Commissioners Bureau and Strohmeyer and Ann Hughes. Did I miss anybody out there?
No, this is great. Or I can't speak for anyone out there, but in 206 you got it.
Thank you.
Was there any public comment on items not on the agenda? Any comment on the consent agenda? Was there anything on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled out for further discussion?
I did have one question. Maybe Annie can answer this. On item 5, it lists acting chair, but I think we actually have a real chair here. We could
We
sign
do.
this.
We do. I'm sorry about that. That was a carryover from when that item was on Tuesday's admin. Then Tuesday got canceled and I had to move items. So I will get that corrected.
Thanks.
I had a question just about the consent agenda. I have Chris Weber from Onyx Maps here because one of our items is a resolution for a new BSTF application. And it's on the consent agenda, but they are available here to present to you if you are interested in hearing from them, as we normally do with new applications. So,
Well, let's pull it out because you're here.
okay.
Thank you.
But let's get through. We'll pull out number 5 then. Is that so? 1 through 4 and 6 and 7.
I think you can still approve the consent agenda in its entirety. We would just pause long enough to hear from Onyx.
Oh, okay, perfect. We'll do that then.
Unless you're here to tell us you actually do not want us to do what is on the agenda here, then we can reconsider. But otherwise, I would move that.
Do it, yeah.
Would move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, take it away. Thanks, Anne.
Yeah, and I'll just do a little introduction. This is Nicole Rush with Missoula Economic Partnership. We have, like I said, we have Chris from Onyx Maps. We're putting in a new BSTF application for them to create 16 jobs over the next year. So Chris, I'll just ask you to turn your camera on, and yeah, this is just a chance for you to tell the commissioners about Onyx Maps expansion plans and what's going on with the company, and for them to ask any questions.
Sure, thank you. And I appreciate your all's time today, and thank you for having us here. Is my volume and everything okay?
Yeah, this is great.
All right. So as you know, Onyx is from Missoula, born in Missoula, or hopefully you know, started by our founder Eric Siegfried, who also lives in Missoula still. We have experienced some significant growth past few years. With the conversion of the chip hunt product to an app, and then the release of 2 new products, Onyx Off-Road and Onyx Backcountry, focusing on kind of getting a better foothold in the outdoor community for backcountry navigation. We've gone from essentially 100 employees in 2018. Now we're closing in on 300. So it's been pretty rapid growth, and our plans are still continuing the same. And we have a new lease signed for downtown, the old clinic there, which we're still waiting for some permits, I think, to start breaking ground. But we we also have plans to continue to stay in Missoula and expand our office locations here as well. So
Where downtown, where's the clinic that you're?
the old clinic across from the hospital, right along the river.
Oh, like by the triangle, the redevelopment.
Yeah, the triangle. So
Cool.
the one I think Nick Chakota was putting together in the lot next to, that's, I guess, still on pause. We're right next to that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah,
Huh.
like orange and.
Yeah.
The one with the parking structure built into it?
Yeah, it's that decrepit old clinic that I'm hoping is going to start getting demolished here shortly, because that means we're actually moving forward.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
So well, I guess today we're right at about 276 employees, and we have offer letters out for people to start for about another 20. The reason our plan is very conservative is our most recent hires have been have had a lot of difficulty finding housing, which I think we all know. So, dependent on that, and we're tech companies, so remote has been an option. Also, finding talent has been hard who want to move to Missoula as well. So, we very well could have 30 people in Missoula, including some software engineers and some other, high value jobs. But it's entirely kind of dependent on when they can move, if they can find housing, and if they want to. So with those variables, we went on the ones that we knew were going to be based here, and our plan very well could be double or triple. It's all out of our hands. I don't want to overcommit and underdeliver. So we know like this is probably going to be spot on, with an air towards probably more, but our plan is mostly focused on our customer service, which is located here in our GIS department, which is the geospatial tech. And so we have some interns and some full-time jobs with those departments that are required to be here in Missoula. Anything in specific you want me to go into more detail on?
No, super exciting.
We're all huge Onyx fans. Or
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm not speaking.
It's-
I'm a huge Onyx fan.
It's the most used app on my phone.
Yes.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, I mean, I'm using it every weekend, and it's trying to that's the great thing about our company is our culture's been one of the a lot of very outdoor focused people, and so they're out using it, testing it, and trying to break it every weekend. So it's good to have 275 testers within your office. So it really helps us kind of work out kinks and work on new features. And then I don't think I covered this, but our plan for this year, I think based on our budget is to end up actually at around 380 employees, but based on how slow things have been this year, just filling the roles, and going through the whole hiring process, I'm estimating we're going to end up at about 350. So that'll be about 75 net new employees this year. And if even 25% of those end up in Missoula, I mean, I think you can see our plan is definitely conservative. But like I said, I know those roles are here, and I can't put in ones that that have the option to not be here, and then then they don't come. So it's really up to a lot of different variables and how the housing market, I guess, hopefully relaxes a little bit. But we even have an employee who's trying to move here from Seattle, just an apartment, and she's had two condominium groups sign a lease and then rescind it on her.
Wow. Unfortunately, you're not alone in this. It's difficult.
Yep.
Well, this is great news. And hey, on a somewhat separate topic, I want to give a shout out to one of your employees, Aaron Riccio, he's a dedicated volunteer for the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority and has done excellent work for us. So you
Yeah,
guys are super community engager, both with the work of Onyx and even beyond.
well, that's great to hear. Yeah, I was actually with Aaron the past 2 days. They were shooting a content video at our house.
Okay.
Great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me know if you have any other questions too. Happy to answer any and on our plan once you get into the details. But that's the 10,000 foot picture, and yeah, I know we've got some big plans, and hopefully everything keeps going that way.
Wonderful. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
We're on to, excuse me, action items. Shira Scott. Oops, you're muted.
Well, still, good morning again.
Good morning.
So I wanted to visit a little bit about submission requirements for certificates of survey and subdivision plats. Administrative rules authorize the filing office to determine the medium in which surveys are submitted to Missoula County. And back in the 50s, we decided as a county that we would like to have a reproducible copy on Mylar, which is kind of this clear plasticky, I think it's polyurethane, format, along with a paper copy of all subdivision plats and certificates of survey, so that it maintained the quality of those documents. But with technology improving pretty significantly since the 50s, we're asking that the commissioners approve a resolution to do away with that requirement for the Mylar medium being submitted for surveys.
Oh, I don't know.
Are we retaining the requirement to provide a copy on rawhide?
Yes, in fact, Sam is out sketching on rawhide right now.
That's what I thought. Okay, that's good to hear. I would move that we approve the resolution.
Sorry, it's taken us this long.
50 years.
Yeah. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks so
Oh,
much,
thank
Shira.
you.
Thanks.
That's kind of embarrassing.
Oh, was there anyone, maybe John's wanting to comment on that item?
And we forgot to ask for comment. So sorry. Is there any comment on this decision to ditch the Mylar? Okay. Whew.
It's a nail biter. Okay.
I did have something to say about Mylar. I was involved in the decision to do away with Mylar. And in a conversation with my colleague Brian West, I said, I think the Mylar industry might need to look for a new business model. I'm worried about Mylar. And Brian said, John, don't worry. Balloons are made out of Mylar. So this decision by Missoula County, I don't think will have a fiscal impact on the Mylar industry.
But it does mean that it was somewhat of a historic event when we signed a Mylar copy earlier in this week. So that might have been the last
one.
That might have been the last Mylar to be signed by the Board of County Commissioners. Speechless. Okay.
Yep. And you didn't know how historic that was until
No.
Commissioners, I have the next action item, and it's our old friend Stillwater's on the Clark Fork number 3 subdivision. And this is an amendment to an existing improvements agreement for phases 3 through 5. So let me give you a little bit of background. And this is going to go into phases 1 and 2 also. So the plats for both phases 1 and 2 and the plat for phases 3 and 5 have been recorded in the past. And prior to those plats being recorded, there were improvements agreements for each of those blocks of phases. The letter of credit for phases 1 and 2, which was a $700,000 letter of credit, expired at the end of last year on December 31st. Not all of the improvements in phases 1 and 2 were completed by that date, but I did not call the letter of credit on behalf of Missoula County because I had reasonable written assurances from the developer's attorney and contractors that the work would be completed and that we would come to this day where there's adequate security again for those uncompleted public infrastructure. The improvements agreement for phases 3 through 5 is set to expire on April 27th, next month. And the improvements for that subdivision, those phases of the subdivision will not be completed by April 27th. However, the letter of credit for phases 3 through 5, which is in the amount of $332,241.26, is still valid through the end of this year. And so what I brought to you today is an amendment to the improvements agreement for phases 3 through 5, which incorporates all of the improvements that remain to be completed in 3 through 5, as well as the improvements that remain to be completed for phases 1 through 2. And it incorporates a new letter of credit for phases 1 through 2 in the amount of $700,444.58. That letter of credit is valid into 2023. And then it also incorporates all the existing guarantees and obligations from the phase 1 and 2 improvements agreement, as well as the phase 3 through 5 improvements agreement. So what this amendment does is that it carries forward all the promises and commitments in phases 1 through 5, and it provides letters of credit that Missoula County can call to complete any public improvements in phases 1 through 5, and the total of the two letters of credit are $1,032,685. So this was a solution to the expired phase 1 and 2 agreement, but then also carries us through the end of 2022 for all the improvements that need to be done in those 5 phases. So I'm sure you're tired of listening to me explain what we're doing here. And
Hey,
I'm
John,
happy to answer questions.
John, I got a little distracted. Can you run through that again?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have figured out a simpler way to explain this. Bottom line, we've got over $1 million in security to complete all the remaining infrastructure in phases 1 through 5, and that's going to happen under this agreement before the end of 2022. And I think you might recall last week, perhaps it was a week before, when we heard from the contractor DJ&A about phases 6 through 12 and how they had contractors on the, ready to complete all the infrastructure for this subdivision, and they were just waiting for the weather, and that, they were on the record, they're going to get this stuff done this summer, this spring and summer. And so hopefully that happens, and we don't have to keep visiting with our friend, the Stillwater's number 3 subdivision.
How many phases are in total for, there are 12? That's
There's
it.
12. So that's it. There are no more phases. The plat for phases 6 through 12 has not been recorded. You might have remember signing it either earlier this week or last week, one of the last Mylars that you'll probably ever sign. But that hasn't been recorded. It will be recorded shortly. So at that point in time, all the plats for all 12 phases will be filed. Lots will be sold, and residential structures will be built and infrastructure will be completed. At least that's what I'm told.
We expect the same.
I would move that we approve the amendment and everything that John just said.
Second, any further discussion or comment? Thanks, everyone. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much,
Very
John.
much, commissioners.
Thanks, John.
Angela Priest with the Historical Museum.
Morning, can you hear me?
Good morning.
Hi there. So this is a new contract, a collective bargaining agreement, the very first with this group. They just are newly organized. We've been working on this for about the last 6 months. Small group of employees. I believe there are 7 in total, but they have a community of interest out there at the Historical Museum. So this is just a brand new collective bargaining agreement that I'm asking the commissioners to sign off on. Do you have any questions about it?
Any highlights for folks who've maybe not been tracking this over the past number of months?
Yeah, it's a fairly typical contract. There are raises in there for the next, for this current and fiscal year 23. So it's a 2-year contract. Nothing out of the ordinary, you know, if you look at it as compared to the other 10 collective bargaining agreements that we have here at the county, it's fairly standard. I can't think of any highlights. Anything unusual about this, I should say.
Thank you for struggling through this for the last 6 months. It's a heavy lift, and we definitely appreciate that.
It was actually a great experience, and my first experience with a contract. Pleasant experience, I'll say. Yeah, it was great group of people to work with. Yeah.
Great to hear.
Are any of those folks on the line, I wonder? Anyone from the museum?
Oh, yeah, that's like.
I don't think so. I didn't hear any of their names.
And is the board involved with this too?
I don't know.
Was it just?
Museum?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you for slogging through it.
Thank you.
I would move that we approve the collective bargaining agreement.
Second, any further discussion? Comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, another historic moment.
Yeah.
A new bargaining agreement.
11.
Thank you.
To 11. Jack, thank you, Angela. Did you have anything else?
No, thank you. Thank
Okay,
you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jackson Lee, Parks and Trails Matching Grant. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, commissioners. The P2L program is requesting an extension on a matching grant contract with the Bitterroot Trail Preservation Alliance. The project was originally proposed and awarded during the 2019 cycle, with the goal being to extend wayfinding markers from their current terminus at Missoula city limits to the Missoula-Ravalli County line. The signage on each marker will include mileage, the trail logo, the county logo, and an emergency locator. And recent developments indicate the project is feasible over the updated time window, with installation planned for later this summer. And we're pending a maintenance agreement with MDT that's on the consent agenda today.
We're extending it until the end of the year from, what was it originally?
Yeah, so it expired last June and the extension would go through December of 2023.
Oh, okay, great. I'm excited to check this out. I've never wandered that portion of the county. Never even been on my radar until your presentation. So
Oh, yeah, it's a great stretch. Yeah.
that's super cool.
Okay, I would move that we approve the extension to the contract.
Second, any further discussion or comments? Thank you so much, Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Have a great day.
Happy St. Patrick's
Yeah,
Day.
Jackson's wearing green. I'm not sure if anyone else is. I have a little bit in my pants.
Is this green?
That's very green,
Sometimes
yeah.
my wife says
That's
what I
green.
think is green is not actually
That's
green. So
totally
It's
green.
not that green. Sage is a green color.
that's what I think too. Yeah.
Any,
Goodbye.
no, we have correspondence
Oh,
discussion
no.
items, upcoming presentations. Okay, have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.